Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Tegan here from McCurley and Son Classic Automotive. Today we're working on a 1965 Cadillac Coupe Deville convertible that had a dash fire on the inside. Nothing too bad, luckily. Overall, the outside of the car is in pretty decent shape. The body lines are pretty straight, and the paint is pretty decent. The fire was pretty contained for the most part, so it didn't spread much further than the center of the dash. So the amount of old wires and everything else that was burnt that we have to remove from the old dash is a lot less than we originally thought. Here you can see the old dash and exactly where it was burnt. We can tell that the fire was somewhere in the center of the dash, but we can't exactly pinpoint where it was started just because things have already been cut out and whatnot. Here's the inside of the car where the dash itself actually sits, and you can see just the parts that have actually gotten burnt and that we have to remove. The seats are in pretty rough condition, front and back, so those will be reupholstered at some point. I did not do a very good job at filming this first day, so I completely missed taking out all of the spare parts and whatnot that were inside the car. But overall, the floorboards are in pretty good condition after cleaning them up and drying them off, and it doesn't look like we'll have to do any patchwork. As I was saying earlier, the fire didn't spread very far, so the factory fuse block is still usable and decent condition. Some of the wiring harness that was attached to it got burnt up, so that will be pulled from a parts car, but we're going to do our best to use the original fuse block. As you can see, the engine's all intact and everything is there from factory, like the AC, the original orange cap, as well as the cruise control that more than likely doesn't work. We don't usually touch those, but overall it's pretty decent shape. We will probably do some minor work on it, but that's about it. Here my dad's just kind of going through the wiring harness from the old fuse block and seeing what's salvageable and what's not. So I started ripping out all of the crusty and burnt things. I've got a couple more things like this little bit of crusty stuff and this little bit of wire that is burnt. But we're gonna do that real quick. As you can see, the floorboards are starting to dry up nicely. Not any rust or anything anywhere, but there's a little bit of spots up front. I got all of the burnt and crusty stuff out, so now I'm gonna just see what else I can clean up and whatnot. We're gonna go ahead and take this wire wheel and just wire wheel any like scale and burnt stuff. And after we're done wire wheeling, you can see it looks way better. So I'm gonna wait for Dad now and see what we're gonna do next. This little metal AC vent right here had some water under it, so I went ahead and took that off and vacuumed out any water that was there. So that's a wrap on the day. We got everything all cleaned up, vacuumed, and wire wheeled, and we're ready to go get the other dash from the parts car. So we will get started on that tomorrow. So it is the next day. I went ahead and got some shots of the upper part of the rear seat and got some shots of the trunk as well. You can see there's a little bit of some moldy spots where the spare tire was sitting, but you can see that this car is very untouched. It's got the original jacking instructions and the original jack in there on the right side. It's kind of hard to see, but here we have our 65 parts car that had a vinyl top at one point, so it's all rusted out on the top, but the dash is in good condition, so we're going to go ahead and get that out. We're also going to go ahead and remove the whole fuse block and wire harness with it too. Now that we got this dash out of the parts car, we're going to go through the wiring a little bit, and then we're going to start laying things down in the car the way they should be. That way we can go ahead and get the dash back in. We're just going around now and kind of ripping out any of the lost wiring that's still there and finding any other wiring that needs to be repaired, like this little bit right here on the floor. So we'll get all those here in a little bit. Started connecting things back in place and running things back how they should be. And we still got a butt connector these right here and whatnot, but we're still getting everything figured out. We went ahead and greased this parking brake up, but it doesn't seem to latch, so we're gonna go ahead and replace it with the parts car one. So Dad's gonna go ahead and remove that. Before I go grab that though, I'm gonna go ahead and jumper this top to get it up out of our way. Well, the motor works, but we don't think there's enough fluid in there to actually move the top, so we just had to manually move it for now. But we'll get that working properly eventually. But we went ahead and got the parking brake from the parts car, so we're gonna go ahead and slap that in. Here, Dad's just running the last couple wires before we get ready to throw a little dynamite on the firewall, and then we'll be ready to throw the vent box in, and then we should be good to throw the dash in. And here's also that little section from earlier that we went ahead and fixed up. And Dad's getting ready to throw the dynamite on to the firewall. So we'll get that thrown on and I'll show you guys after. And here it is after we're all done putting the dynamite on. It looks way better than it did before. Earlier we went ahead and grabbed the vent box from the parts car too, since the old one was all burnt up. So we're gonna go ahead and throw that on over the dynamite now. And then we'll be ready to get the dash put in. Here it is, all bolted up. We've got like two more vent lines that actually go to the dash, but we'll get those in after the dash is already in. Dad also discovered in the engine bay where the fire was, some wires got burnt up, so we're gonna have to go ahead and replace those as well. The old wheel had a little bit of fire damage on it, so we're gonna go ahead and grab the steering wheel from the parts car. It's exactly the same color and everything, but not burnt, so. This the steering wheel is already out, except for that one bolt right there. So we're gonna grab that and we'll get the steering wheel out. Now we can just go ahead and pull this dash right out. Kind of, sort of. There we go. We went ahead and got the steering wheel put into place, and now we're gonna go ahead and add some more dynamite. Now that that's all done, we're gonna go ahead and throw the vents in, and then we'll be ready to put the dash in place. Now that the dash is finally in place, it's pretty much just wrapping things up and connecting things. We just gotta go through electrical and connect things to where they gotta go. Um, and then we still have to do the front wiring harness that we didn't think we had to do at first, but we're gonna go ahead and do that. So these next couple clips are just us going through wiring and figuring things out. As you can hear in the video, I asked what this little box right here is for, and it's for the headlights, but it ends up causing us some trouble later on, and I'll show you guys the wire here in a second that it ended up burning. But we did end up getting the dash all in place and bolted up, so all that was left after this was to finish connecting all the wiring and getting everything routed. We also did do the front wiring harness area, so that was all complete at the time of this clip. The day that this wire ended up burning off, I wasn't there, so Dad had to deal with it and fix everything. But he ended up cutting out that little box that I mentioned earlier and just everything that went to it. We also end up going and cutting off the old generator box that comes factory from these cars, and we put a one wire alternator on them instead of having the three wire. Oh. There it goes. Live. A little bit of lip
noise, but it'll probably go away after it warms up.
And the gas tank, yeah, that's just the way it is. And they got rid of all that. I don't think nobody's going to jail for that anymore. No. But it's like, ah man, dude, it's so just common sense is gone. I'm not even that old.
The exhaust has a big hole on the bottom, so it's still got to go to the exhaust shop and get it redone on the crossover. But it runs good. Next, it's gonna probably get a windshield and then go and get the upholstery from our upholstery guy, and then we'll probably end up working on the top and making it run and whatnot.
Yeah, he's got the other two. I had ordered 4 of them because we needed 2 for the dash and 2.
We're almost done with the car. We just gotta finish messing with the top here, which pretty much is just adding more fluid to the pump. And after that, we're gonna put an electric distributor on it, and then that should be it.
Okay, fine, take this apart. I got it running now, but it ain't moving. Huh?
Might be broke like I'm a breakthrough.
Yeah, that gear.
Okay, so we had to mute for audio reasons again, but here me and Dad are taking apart and trying to get the swing window motor to work again. And so basically we just had to take it apart and ungum the motor and get it to spin freely, and then make sure that the insides of it are all working properly and not chewed up. There's this gear that's inside of these motors, and typically they tend to get chewed up, so then you have to buy new ones.
Nice.
These next clips you guys are about to see are just a bunch of clips of us trying to get the top motor working, the original one at least, which you will see how that goes.
Yeah, it's like there's enough fluid. It's not really pushing it.
Well, leave it down because
That's down right now.
Rams are empty. So
Yeah.
we'll be able to tell how much more we want.
From shipping to payments to analytics, you get all the information you need all in
So we thought it was going good until this moment when the passenger side ram blew a little hole in it. And so with that, we had to get a whole new kit for the top.
Now we gotta get a kit for the top because the ram blew. So we took the crack dash and spray foamed the inside of each crack and then sanded it down smooth. And then Dad's gonna go over it with a thin layer of Bondo. And then our upholstery guy's gonna rewrap it so it looks brand new. Started and bolting the motor, get the motor out. And then we're gonna put the top up so we can get to all the ram bolts. And then we'll be running. New motor, lines, and rams. Alright. She works perfectly.
So this car is all done now. It's a running driving car just like it was before the dash fire. But now there are no any possibilities of having a fire again since we went through everything and made sure nothing was touching and whatnot. So thank you guys very much for watching, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next one.